Hello everyone! Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to answer a question that I get asked so many times on social media. And the question is, how did you end up living in Japan? So we are going to talk about that today. But before we start, if you don't know me, let me introduce myself in Portuguese just a little bit. Meu nome é Eliana Capioto, eu sou professora de inglês e eu tenho uma escola de inglês online junto com outros professores. E na nossa escola a gente oferece 5 tipos de curso. Inglês para o dia a dia, que é a minha especialidade, inglês para negócios, inglês para turismo, inglês jurídico, e cursos preparatórios para os testes TOEFL, IELTS e TOEIC. TOEIC é um teste da Cambridge Assessment para inglês jurídico. Então, se você tem interesse em estudar inglês com a gente, eu vou deixar aqui na descrição do vídeo todas as informações para você saber mais sobre os nossos cursos. Okay? So now let's go back to English and start this listening practice. So take your notebook for you to take notes of the important vocabulary that you learned today, a pencil, and let's do it. Okay, so how should I start? I think I should start from the beginning. Everything started back in 2015 when I went to Canada on an exchange program. I had already been a teacher for some years before going to Canada, but I wanted to have that experience abroad. And Canada seemed to be the best place to go. And my plan was to go to Canada to have that experience living in an English-speaking country and also get a certification to teach English to students of other languages. So that's what I did. I went to Canada, and in the first month, I stayed with a host family in their house so that I would have some time to look into the other options of accommodation to live there for the next 5 months, because my plan was to stay there for 6 months. And I found a house. It was a house shared with other students. And in that house, there lived a Japanese guy called Shinya. And Shinya is my husband now. So yeah, I think you can figure out the rest of the story, right? But I'll give you the details. So Shinya was actually the first person I met when I went to that house, and we became friends very fast, and we were just friends for a very long time. But a few weeks, or just 1 week, I think 1 week before I returned to Brazil, we started dating. And then I returned to Brazil, and I was not sure if our relationship would continue because we were from countries that were on opposite sides of the world, so I didn't see it as a very real possibility. But my boyfriend at that time, he said he wanted to go to Brazil and visit me, and I believed in him, and that's really what he did. So he visited me a few times in Brazil, and we decided to commit to that relationship. We had a long-distance relationship for 3 years. During that time, he would visit me. He would go to Brazil once a year, and he would stay there with me from 1 month to 3 months, depending on the year. But then at a certain moment, we were like, we need to talk about the next step, because doing that for too long was really making us feel tired. So that's when we decided that it was time for him to go to Brazil, live with me. I had no intention of coming to Japan because I had my family in Brazil and I'm very attached to my family. And my husband's parents passed away many years ago and he doesn't have siblings here. So the easiest thing for us to do was for him to go live with me in Brazil. However, I was really worried about his safety in Brazil. As you know, a Japanese person can't speak Portuguese. He could speak English, but not Portuguese. And I really worried about his safety. The thing that scared me the most was the possibility that he would be on the street someday by himself, and then some criminal would come and demand that he give his phone to him, and my husband wouldn't understand that and get shot. You know, that was my main fear. So when Shinya moved to Brazil for good, we had a conversation about my fears and he really understood me, although he didn't know what it was like to live in a dangerous country, because Japan is very, very safe. But he understood what I said, and I asked him to wait a little before going out alone. I wanted him to be able to speak and understand Portuguese very well before going out alone, so that he would understand his surroundings better and be better able to protect himself. And he agreed with that. So we had to find something for him to do professionally that could be done from home. That was my request. So our first idea was for him to teach Japanese online. I have experience teaching English online and I could help him. So he studied, he got a certification to teach Japanese online, but it was not really something that he was very excited about. What he was really excited about was to cook. So we decided to make a kitchen for him to cook Japanese food, and that's what we did. At that time, we were also transitioning from eating everything to having just a vegan diet because of a few reasons that I can talk about in another video. And so our decision was to make vegan Japanese food. And he started selling vegan Japanese curry on those delivery apps. So we spent a lot of money on kitchen supplies and everything he needed to start. And that was back in 2019. We finished setting up the kitchen for him to work in the second semester of 2019. And then he started working. But the sales didn't go as we had planned. I don't know if it's because of the region, maybe we were selling the food in the northern region of São Paulo, and the sales were not very good. The business was not doing very well. We did have a few loyal customers that would order food every other week, and he got good ratings on the application, but he couldn't sell more than 3 orders per day. And then COVID hit as well during that time, so we couldn't go out anymore. Even to buy food, we ordered the food to be delivered to our house. And yeah, so I think the whole situation really stressed my husband out. He was a very independent man in Japan. He was free to go anywhere. He made enough money here in Japan. He could speak the language here. And then he found himself in Brazil, not being allowed to go outside by himself because of safety reasons, and also because of COVID. He was not making as much money as he had planned to make. So yeah, there were a number of things that started to make him feel depressed. and homesick. And that's when we decided to sit down and change the plan. Despite the fact that I was very attached to my family, I still am, and my husband loved Brazil, safety was a big concern for us. And because of that, we started considering other options. And our second option was to immigrate to Canada. So what was the plan? We checked the Canadian government website and we saw the list of professions that Canada really needed that time. And one of the professions or the occupations was caregiver. Caregiver is a person who takes care of other people, usually elderly people. And then my husband said, well, this might be a possibility. I don't have the skills, I don't have the experience yet, but I know I can get that in Japan, and then we can try to immigrate to Canada. So that's what we did. He came back to Japan before me, and he started working as a caregiver. That was back in 2022. Yes, in 2022. And 1 year after that, I came to join him here, and I've been here since then. Last month, I completed 2 years living here in Japan. And I will make another video about my experience living here. Because I am a spouse of a Japanese person, it was very easy for me to get the resident visa, and here I am. So that's the story, that's the answer to the question, how come do I live in Japan if I don't have a drop of Japanese blood running in my veins? I hope you liked watching this video. Please let me know here in the comments your opinion about this video, and also write here suggestions of next topics for me to discuss in the next videos. Alright? See you in the next one. Bye bye!